Welcome to Looking at Legal Stuff. Today we have 3 hearings covering 2 different protection order cases. In the first case, a man claims that 3 different neighbors have been harassing and spying on him. He claims that they have been sending him harassing letters and fighting with him over access to an easement that he's recently blocked off with a gate. When he doesn't get the answers he wants to hear from the court, he gets upset with the judge for not letting him share his side, and he attempts to steamroll her by becoming argumentative and trying to talk over her again and again. In the second case, we have a woman who wants a restraining order after she claims she was beat up at the bar by an older woman who she says attacked her after she mistook her friend for someone else and tried to embrace her. She claims she has no memories of being beat up, but she knows it was the defendant because her husband told her so. The older woman claims that she's lying to the judge, and not only did she not beat up this lady, but it was actually the lady and her husband who aggressively attacked her that night when she came to see why her friend was so upset. Let's see what the judge will think.
I thought Mr. McNally had appeared, but he hadn't. So I'm going to call the next case where we have both parties present, Ido Avery and Jesse Brown. Mr. Brown, come on up, please. And if all 3 of you would raise your right hands, please. Swear the testimony in this case be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do. Yes, sir.
Okay, please be seated. All right, so I read what the parties have filed, and I will let you know right up front that I can't do anything about the gate. The gate that Mr. Brown seemingly has installed on the easement road is something that if you're going to want to address as a violation of the easement, you're going to have to go to Superior Court and get an order from Superior Court regarding whether Mr. Brown has the authority to restrict access on the easement in that way. And I think that's probably the main issue here. So I want to let the parties know we're not talking about that today. The gate's there. I can't do anything about it. What I can do is regulate the interactions between the parties. And I do note that the Avenerys have expressed concern with Mr. Brown's approaches to them as they try to navigate their way through the gate, both, mostly verbally, and then also indicating their discomfort with the fact that on at least one occasion, Mr. Brown felt compelled to drop his pants and in the teenage vernacular, moon them. So I'll start with the Avenerys, understanding that's really all we're addressing is the nature of the personal relationship. Do you have anything else you want to add that you think I perhaps didn't pick up in your filings or that you haven't said yet?
Yes, it's about Brown's erupts in angry outbursts constantly. And it's his delusional mind concern us greatly and make us fear for our lives. And we share the concern time to time with the police that James Brown needs professional help. That comes to my mind.
Okay. So in your mind, does Mr. Brown have any reason to say anything to the 2 of you at all?
Did I understand? No.
Okay. All right. Mr. Brown.
Okay. So you saw, did you get the 150 pages worth of documents I sent to you, sir?
I did. Did I read every one of them?
No. It's too much, I know.
Okay. So I've narrowed the issue. We're not talking about the gate.
I know.
Just the relationship between you and in this case, the Avenerys.
Yes, sir, I understand. I also want to put on there that I have a current lawsuit against them. I'm posting it today into court. And one thing I put on my response that was incorrect, my apologies for that, is that I said that in the original report, George Nivak did not pull a gun. I reread that and he did say that he did pull a gun and that was incorrect on there. I just want to correct my my information on that. And also I have their attachment for what their complaints are, and I wanted to go over that minus the gate obviously of these points that they said and the counterpoints to them. Is that okay, sir?
How about
I
just,
mean, oh, your honor.
just that's okay. Just sort of summarize it.
Okay. Everything started when I first moved in. Idle Avery said that he moved the beaver down off the property. And I told him that was illegal. You can't do that. It's a felony. And I'm here because I'm trying to start a nursery. I told him at the very beginning.
You remember, I've read what's in your.
Yes, yes, sir. I've been on medication for the past 2 years as well too, for serotonin imbalance as well. I've been perfectly balanced mentally since then, and I have not done any of that. I have not lived in that house that they said for the past 2 years. I have 2 RVs on the property, both fully functional, and they're being used for an agricultural building involving house plants, snake plants, vine plants, and also seed propagation, because I am working for a nonprofit person named Brian Colbull I've known since Media Island when I was a teenager. And he's been seed restoration for over 10 years. Basically, that building that, because the thing I lived in, it's an agriculture building. There's also statements in here saying that I was banned from Tanana Market. I went to the Tanana Market that day of. I got this. I
remember I read.
Yes,
sir. I read
that. But many of the things I've never screamed at him. What I said is, I have police reports. Here they are, and I even left police reports on his gate in between the things so he read them all. I've left him everything so he knows what's going on. You know, I have absolutely no interest at all doing anything criminal against these people. It terrifies me. My dad was in prison my whole life. I don't want that for my kid or my one to at all. I want to start a lawsuit against these people. I'm starting a lawsuit against my neighbor, Lewis Willman, as you see in the documents. That's been filed on Friday. I don't know if you saw that. And I'm trying to go after these people for damages and harassment. Did you see that one paper that they put in my mailbox so the mail with this pants pulled down? That paper as well. There's been numerous other papers, and the word in that paper is very similar to the one that says protect your children that has been circulated throughout town immensely. I've been random phone calls throughout the years regarding these, and has made it so I was unable to obtain any kind of fulfilling jobs in my area because I've been reduced to odd jobs because I just don't want to it's a panic attack with all the stuff that's going on. As you saw, the plethora of police reports that I have posted pertaining to my mailbox and things, and reports that have been proven false that has been done by neighbors, as it says. And I only have a problem with 2 neighbors, and that is one, Lewis Woolman and Ido Avery, who know each other and also know Diana Kremen. That has been proven on a paperwork Lewis Williams sent to the courts on August 29th, 2022, proving that they did know Lewis Willman and Diana Kremen, the person who is responsible for the theft of my dogs, or I should say she is in the prosecutor's office for first-degree theft of my animals, who when I first talked to them, asked them, they said, I don't know these people.
Remember, I've read that in
yes, sir. I'm sorry, I forgot everything I put on there exactly. And the gate was, there's a 30-foot fence on both sides of the entrance to my property. It's not just one blocks things so they cannot go in. There's a 30-foot on both sides. On the other side, I have a small playground and a garden. It's completely inaccessible for its private property. Let's see. Sorry, just 1 second. I did moon them. Yes, I was on the property. I was off on the side because for years, I did not submit a police report and I did not get here in time to do so. Am I able to read that police report to you, sir?
You don't need to, just tell me.
On, let me sure I get the date, 8/15/2020. Ido Avery and Joan Avery stopped in front of my property with the vehicle. The woman I was with at the time was inside the house, undressed, and he kept on calling in and trying to talk to her. She came because of the Beaver thing, we've never got along and we've just tried to not talk to him, but she had to call the police and the police said he cannot stop them from using the easement, but he cannot stop and yell at us through the easement. There's also a report done actually today, 4 years ago, May 13th, maybe it's the 14th to county, saying that my daughter, River Spires, I'm not sure if this is on the thing, was pooping by the side of the creek. My creek is very, very private spot that's way off the road. You would have to look really hard to see her down there. She was swimming naked on there. I got this report a few weeks ago and I did say, yes, I feel like he is pedophile because of that sort. I did not yell this to him. I just said my feelings on that matter because he was watching my, at that time, 5-year-old girl swim naked in my private creek and then did a report to county saying that I put an outhouse in the creek and that she was pooping in the creek and things like that.
I read that in the.
Yes, I said, well, not exactly sure. I couldn't find that. I think I only did one copy for that. So 2 times, my wife said, that is not a good idea. And I agreed because I'm just terrified of getting arrested or anything illegal happening to me. And the reason I talk loud about the gate, because I don't want to get near them. I've had a bullet left in my mailbox. It's up in Lewis Wellman with the gunman. Every time I go there, I really do feel like my life is under threat. My heart races, my hands start to sweat. I just feel like something's about to happen every single time. So 2 times after I got that, I said that, and that was around the same time that my cats went missing. One night, I went to the far end of my property. I was looking for my cat. It has been gone for 2 weeks by that time. And I saw him outside, and I yelled, "Have you seen my cat?" I think his reply was "F you" to me. The next morning, my other cat, black cat, went missing. I didn't want this cat to just, no, I wasn't trying to get cats. My kid's mom said, I found these 2 cats on the side of the road. They were tiny little kittens that could hardly walk. So I said, okay, I'll take them home. You know, my dogs and my cats got along. It was so cute. And there were indoor, outdoor cats that stayed right next to the building, the agricultural building. They had their own cat house. I had a big pillow in there. It was covered so it didn't get wet, perfectly nice. They can come indoor and outdoor when it's cold. That day, that next morning, Ido was driving really fast down the easement. His back trunk is open and he seems kind of disarrayed. And he gets out, he goes on the other side of the thing, he shuts his trunk and he takes off really fast. And that's the last time I've ever seen of my cat. So
Okay, folks, let's stay muted, please. Okay.
And because there's association with him, Dinah Crimmon, and Lewis Women, Dinah Crimmon was involved with theft of my animals. And the fact that my animal Jinx went missing on September 5th. The thing is, Jinx, yes, she was a young dog and she went to a couple houses. She was a half newbie. She was very friendly. She just wanted the attention while I was gone. If I was gone for a little bit too long, she'd go to Neighbours. But she never just left and then went up the road or anything like that. She didn't. And the kind of season it was in, it was not coyote season. And she was microchipped as well. Considering that I had past dog theft on my property with people that Ido and Joan both know and is in communication with, I do feel that is good reasonable cause that they are associated in some form with that, considering the past actions that has been done to my property and to me. And considering the plethora of letters that have been sent to the community, to my family, I haven't been able to talk to my family because everybody I talk to wants me to sell my property and to leave. And I love it there. I have an open pasture. I want to make a nursery there. I want to make a life for my family. I am in contact with PSE. I have talked to them about installing an electrical box over there. I am talking with environmental services about getting a septic system in there. I'm talking to Advanced Septic to get my septic system put in. I'm talking to the building department as well, too. I'm finishing up my master plan where the wetlands are. I've been doing everything I need to do legally. I have no interest at all in doing anything against the law.
Okay, so let me ask you some questions.
Yes, sir.
So when the aviaries come in and out the easement, is there any reason that you have to approach their cars or any reason you have to say anything to them at all?
Not anymore. No, I won't say a single word to them again. I let them know about the court cases. I let them know.
Yeah, you can't serve them the court cases that,
I know. I got to give it to the court and then it's mailed to them.
Okay.
I already have one with Lewis Willem done.
Okay. All right. So you don't see any reason you have to speak to the aviaries?
I will never speak to him again, Your Honor.
Okay.
I have no interest in that.
You won't moon anybody?
No, Your Honor. And I just want to put on there, I have a police report with that.
Okay, yeah,
yes, sir.
Just going forward, that
yes,
your
sir.
clothes will stay on when you're dealing with folks on the easement.
Yes, sir. I have one question.
Sure.
I am worried that me and my wife like to sunbathe nowhere near the easement at all. Is that still allowed?
Yeah. It's your property, you do what you want, but this seemed directed. Mooning means you're directed at that's directed at somebody else.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so
yes, it was
that won't happen again.
Yes, Your Honor, I won't do that again. I was just trying to get them to call the police so the police could tell them you can't film off the property while I'm on my own. I should have done that better, but I can't talk to these people. There's a huge language barrier between me and Ido. I don't know what he's saying half the time. And I don't think so. I didn't insult accents at all. I think accents are wonderful. It's just hard for me to understand.
Okay.
Right.
So I just want to make clear you understand that dropping your pants and mooning somebody is not an appropriate thing to do.
Yeah.
And you don't see any need that you have to converse with the aviaries when they go up and down the easement.
I won't say anything to them at all. And if they want to just leave the gate open when they go, I mean, that's okay. If I'm home, so I can just shut it. If they see that I'm home and they just want to drive by, fine. I mean, it's like you have my permission to leave the gate open when you drive through without shutting it behind you, if that makes you feel better, okay?
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Aviaries have anything else you want to add?
Well, many of the things that he was saying was actually a fabricating story. And J.C. Brown already threatened us in the past to shoot us. And recently he threatened us that we will cut our electricity cable because we know what it is. And about this incident 2020, it actually is incorrect because Jesse and X were having interaction on the easement, and my wife was walking on our easement and by the gate, our gate, and Jesse just jumped up and started shouting and screaming at my wife. And I went and approached Brown and asked him to stop and harassing us while we are on our property. And I told him I'm going to call the police, and he said no, he's going to call the police and report that. And so he called the police. So, and the police talked to them, and then they came to us, and he talked to the ex. So the story about us parking the car is incorrect. It's absolutely incorrect. So, and then they came to us and we told our story, and yeah, and that's it.
All right, thank you. Yeah, Mr. Brown, you had one other thing?
Yes, sir. So I just want to put on, I'm not sure if I put on the thing, but he said that I was banned from the 10-hour market. That same day I talked to the manager wasn't there, so I talked to the assistant manager and there was a police that was there as well, where I spoke to them with the police, and I talked to 4 people who were check out there. I go to that market all the time. I just want to say that comment that they said was completely false.
Right.
I'm not trying. I know. I'm sorry. I said that was bad wordage.
No. You had that was all in the material you submitted.
Okay. And also, I know you can't look at it because I didn't follow this one with the other police reports, but that case I was speaking of is right here, and it does comment the neighbors parking in front yelling at me. I was not there when they got there. It was my wife who was home alone, and I came, not my wife, excuse me, the lady I was dating at the time.
Okay.
She was home alone, and when he approached, and then I came home, after the fact and learned everything happened, everything. But she was there by herself when that happened. And also with the PSE, I have emails verifying that I am communicating with PSE about the electrical easement going through the property. I have no interest in killing myself at all by touching electricity in the line. I'm not stupid.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not. I don't do that.
Okay. All right. All right.
Sorry.
Last thing.
I'm really sorry. And when the gate, I was in there when we both came in the gate at the same time, how the police officer did say that Ido was changing his story. I have a police report in there that that police says that when he said that he can request a video from Jesse, Ido started to act strangely and said never mind and dismissed it. And that was recorded on that time because I wasn't, me and him just got to the gate at the same time. I was just running in to grab something fast and going, and he was grabbing a package at the same time. And I asked him, did you steal my cat? Were you involved with it? And he said, F you to me. And he got in his car and he drove backwards less and said, I wasn't doing it you. He said,
I know.
He started flipping me off. And then like, what the hell? And I'm still walking to the house to get the thing. And he's just driving off back faster, and the police came later on and they confirmed this. And also the report that was done by George Nivak with them, he's saying that when I pushed him, it hurt his back. But in a previous report, he says that he had a bad back. And also I showed that nudge to the police officer. And in that report, it says they're very clear. I'm not sure if that one was in there, if you read it, that I was not interested in charging George Nivak with the crime because
I did see that.
And everything.
Yeah, I saw all that.
So I'm not trying to do anything to hurt anybody or do anything. I'm just trying to make it so I have a peaceful life and I can just be left alone.
Okay.
And as you see the plethora of documents. Sorry, sir. And that's it.
That's okay. All right. As I indicated, I had read the material the parties had filed, and they are community neighbors, and there's an issue with the gate, which I indicated to both parties, the gate across the easement, that this court does not have jurisdiction to make a determination on. So I can't address the issue of the gate. I can't address the nature of the contact between the parties. And in this case, I am going to enter an order directing Mr. Brown to have no contact verbally with the Avenerys. You're not to moon them. You're to have no contact with them. So if you are going to file a lawsuit against them, you have to have them served by somebody else, not you. And you can deal with them in court. But outside of that, you shouldn't say anything at all to the Avenerys. And the Avenerys, understanding that, you shouldn't say anything to Mr. Brown. But the order here is to Mr. Brown not to say anything at all to the Avenerys, and you're not to go onto their property at all.
Absolutely.
And this order will be in effect for 1 year from today's date. And if the Avenerys wish it to be renewed, you'll have to come back to court and seek it to be renewed at that time. Mr. Brown is present in court, so we'll make a copy of the order for him now. And for the Avenerys, if you wish to get a copy of the order, it's available in your district court file. You can contact the court and get a copy of that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, folks. And Mr.
Thank
Brown,
you,
just
Your
sit tight. We'll get you a copy of that.
Yes, sir. Can I ask one question? Is it just a verbal, or if I go to the store and he's at the store, do I have to run?
No,
away?
you don't have to leave. You just cannot have contact.
Yeah,
You
that's
can't
fine.
say
I don't-
anything, can't flip them off, can't do anything. No mooning, nothing.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sorry. And am I able to still put a restraining, file a restraining order against these two individuals? Or is that, am I unable to because of this? 'Cause I would like to have something so they can
Uh,
continue to film me on my property.
we've just talked about it with the Avies, and I've indicated to them that they shouldn't have contact with you. And if you think that they violate that going forward, and then you can always file a request. There's nothing that prohibits you from doing that.
Yes, sir.
But for now, I'm satisfied that there's not a basis for me to enter the order as of today. But if something going forward happens, you can bring that to the attention of the court.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
Okay.
that. I won't talk to them.
All right. All right, thank you, folks.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Yana.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Okay, so Mr. Brown, why don't you choose a table and have a seat? Just have a seat.
Yes.
I'm not asking you to say anything yet. All right, just have a seat. So, a couple of folks not here. We'll take up. So we're gonna take up first, Mr. Brown. We've got Ms. Willman here on Zoom. This is case 24-188. And so let me just get you both put under oath here. There might be a couple of questions. So Ms. Willman, start with Ms. William. Ms. Willman, can you raise your right hand? And Ms. Willman, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, Your Honor.
All right. And Mr. Brown, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Ms. Willman, are you able to hear Mr. Brown?
I can, yes.
Okay, that red lighted thing doesn't amplify, but it collects, it'll allow Ms. Willman and the record to hear you. So just so you know what that is.
Thank you.
All right, so we're on case 24-188, and I see, Ms. William, you were served. I also see that Thurston County Superior Court has taken a defamation case from some information that was filed here. And as recently as April 15th, there was a denial of your request, Mr. Brown, by this court for an order against Ms. Willman. And so I looked at previous information that was filed, and I looked at the information that was filed for this case. And there isn't anything alleged, Mr. Brown, from you that is different or in addition to April 15th in this petition.
Your Honor,
So
sorry.
is there anything else?
Is there Officer Lee's Desmond here, 1P85? He said he's gonna help testify on my character.
It's up to
and
you
harassment.
to have
He-
people come to court on your behalf, just as it's up to
Yes.
Ms. Willman to do that.
I understand, Your Honor. I did talk to
ask them to
Officer.
be here?
Yes, I did. He said he was gonna be here. When I was,
Did you put him under subpoena or ask the court to send a subpoena? I
He
don't
just-
see that you asked the
he
court to
just-
do that.
he just gave me his word. I saw him when I was, he was going to Ido Avery's house to serve him the petition. And on the way back, I asked him, I told him that the court is on the 17th at 9 a.m. If you could please be here. Since he's not here, I would like to ask a continuum for next time, so he has a chance to be here, so I can subpoena him.
And what do you
if-
expect him to say?
To talk about the issues that's been going on for the past 2 years and how.
Anything from April 25th or April 15th, when you were last before this court on
Yes,
a
Your Honor, I've had
petition?
a letter received in my mail that I believe is from Lewis Willman and her associates.
Was that what you provided in your exhibits?
The recent
this?
ones. I had 150 other pages that I don't know why I was denied, but I did have a huge list of,
So let
conduct
me
of-
get you to answer my question.
I'm sorry, Miss.
Since April 15th, when you were before this court last, and the court said, no, you don't get an order against Ms. Willman. I'm going forward from April 15th and
Mhm.
looking at what you filed in this petition alone. And you're referring to, you got another letter that you think is from Ms. Willman and you think that's unlawful harassment. Is that right?
Your Honor, Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And
You filed that, and that's what I'm looking at in your exhibits. That's what you're saying
yes,
is the new information.
can I explain why I feel like the letters are derived from her and the situation at large, please?
Well,
If
not the situation at large. I'm
yes.
asking you to narrow your information from April 15th forward, because we've already had a hearing on everything previously. I understand that the court can look back, and I did look back and I reviewed all of what was reviewed previously by the judge, because, you know, sometimes these courts of conducts require that look back, but there's already been a decision based on previous information, and it was found that there was not a course of conduct. There was not unlawful harassment committed by Ms. Willman. So I'm talking April 15th going forward,
Yes.
and what you filed isn't providing the court any information.
The letters that were sent, this is why I was trying to have the sheriff here, because I knew I couldn't resubmit the papers that were here, but there is a long history of, she emailed.
I understand. I've reviewed the previous petitions,
I know, I'm sorry, miss.
and we're
I
talking
understand.
April 15th going forward
It's a
now.
letter that was sent that talks about things that's directly related to the case that you wouldn't have any knowledge of unless you're watching the court case in itself. That doesn't seem likely.
This court case or the defamation case?
The one with Ido Avery, that I had a petition against him.
Right,
If you
and I've
notice, on
reviewed
May
that.
17th, she sent a letter was sent at that was sent from Tacoma. That if you would read the letter, you'd see inside of there. She
I'm
delivered the
looking at your
papers
exhibits,
oh,
and
sorry.
so
she
direct me here. Something to Megan Lee Russell, member Prostitute Association, is that's the return address to Grace Monson, member Prostitution Association. So is that what I'm supposed to do? Figure something from? Tell me what that.
Yes, if you
applies.
notice in there, that little picture on the upper right-hand side of a man pulling his pants down, that was attached to a letter that was in the last petition that was most likely sent from my neighbor saying, stay away from outside the easement. And with that paper was another one that said, court case with Louis Willman on there. It was delivered on the same day on that there was a court date in May, I believe. And so I'm just really nervous about this.
Well,
and
right.
In it, if you notice, a lot of the language in there is very derived of someone who would be personal knowledge and knowing about things that are happening and direct harassment towards me. I've never had any issues with harassment until I've received till Louis Millman has stepped into my life 2 years ago. And since April 15th as well, I've had other letters being sent to the local bar, which I don't even drink. I haven't been sober 11 years. And a lot of the language in there is saying I'm a violent person. I've never had anything violent on my record.
So you say something sent to a third party at a bar or a tavern?
Is that not the same thing? It's 313 Sussex. I haven't.
Okay, so a letter was sent there. How do you know that?
Because it had my return address and I have the letter at my house. I'm ready to put that into for a PI to get a DNA test done on it. Right. Have you noticed where it's sent from? It's sent from Tacoma.
Mr. Brown, I'm not going to go forward any more with.
Is there any way that it can continue?
No.
I didn't even get
there is nothing that you're going to present to the court that hasn't already been presented. You've presented all of your information for this petition under 24-188. I've reviewed all of that. As I said, I've gone back because I noticed that there was a hearing April 15th that denied your request. Don't interrupt me. And I see also that Superior Court has taken some jurisdiction. I don't know what's going on there or if it continues on that case. But in this situation, you have provided nothing to the court that is an addition or different than what was already decided April 15th. So
my case will
don't interrupt me, Mr. Brown. Do not interrupt me.
Okay.
I'm ruling as to this case 24-188, denying your request for any order against Ms. Willman. And that's the end of it, is you haven't proven to a legal standard unlawful harassment committed by Ms. Willman against you.
I have 150 pages of the documents.
And April 15th, there was a denial and a consideration of all the information that you filed then and nothing new. Not arguing with you, Mr. Brown. Stop.
I'm
no argument. I'm done. I've ruled on this case. We have two others to talk about. We have two others to talk about.
And it's been a lot
So
of
we're gonna
harassment
move
from
on
this
to the
person.
other two where
There's no
people
way
are
they
not.
can continue them. I
Mr.
had a
Brown,
sheriff who's
no.
gonna come here and
No.
testify on my
No,
behalf.
there is no basis
I've
to
had bullets left
continue.
in my mailbox.
No good cause. There's nothing that you've presented
The fact
that
that it's
that
letters and she's an
witness will
elderly
present
lady isn't
anything other
enough
than,
of like
you
connective
know, Mr. Brown, you've
evidence.
got to stop talking.
But I
You've
can't
got to
finish my
stop
own
talking so I
sentence.
can rule, and then we can move on to the other
Your
cases.
rule is your rule in her favor. I get
I'm
it.
finding there's no good cause to continue this case as your witness is not present by 9:30. You did not put them under subpoena. There's no good reason to believe why they're not here other than that they didn't know about this or don't want to be here. And you haven't provided any information for the court to find good cause,
I'm able to speak my
good
case.
cause that this person will provide anything different to your petition. And your petition is wholly insufficient for the court to issue any kind of order against Ms. Williams.
I also haven't been able to present my
Given the
case.
fact that the court has reviewed all of that information on April 15th and made this decision, I
Like,
looked for
There's
anything
no way
after
all
April
that you guys
15th.
looked through 150 pages worth of the paperwork and saw that she was not involved with direct
So,
letters. She was
we'll move
messaging
on
the
to
person
the
who
next
stole my animals.
case,
When my
which
animals
is
were
our,
stolen,
which is
miss,
24-189.
messaging the
Are you
people
ready
who
to
were
move
stolen.
on?
Can I
You
just
gonna move
please,
on
can I-
with me?
Can I say my last piece, please?
No, we're gonna move on. I've made
She
my
was
ruling.
messaging the person who stole
No,
my
Mr.
animals.
Brown, you're not listening. We have two other cases to deal with. Stay seated. So you've also asked for, so Ms. Willman, you can be on your way if you'd like. That's the end of the hearing. There is no order issued. I can't hear you, Ms. Willman, you've muted yourself.
I would just like to mention that on Friday, this last Friday, the 14th.
So I don't need any testimony from
Okay.
you, Ms. Willman. I've made my decision. The court will
Perfect.
not be issuing an order. There's not a basis.
Yeah, and that was denied as well, Louis.
Okay, so,
You lost that case.
Mr. Brown. So you can be on your way, Ms. Willman. If you'd like to stay, you can
I
stay,
just
but you
don't
can
want them
also
to
be on
talk
your
about
way.
me. I didn't even say physical. I just don't want them
So-
to send any more letters about my family.
We also have your request for an order against Loretta Mullenbry under case number 24-189. I see that she was not served in any way, and have you shown, is there anything you can show that shows that you gave her service or notice of today's date?
I gave it to the sheriff when I left. The sheriff, they know the sheriff didn't serve him. I gave him this stuff.
When did you give him the stuff?
I gave the sheriff when I got the temporary protection.
Okay, so the day that you were before the court, June 6th.
Yeah, I gave it to the sheriff's office, and the sheriff office said they're delivering them. I don't know anything past that.
All
I do
right, so
know
when
Joan
did you
and
last
Avery.
talk to the sheriff about that service?
I talked to a sheriff yesterday,
Mhm.
and he said he was on his way yesterday to go give her the paperwork.
Okay. All right.
And he said that they tried throughout the week, but they typically have a Monday through Friday person, but they're doing it on Sunday. They typically don't do it because you couldn't get involved in contact with them previously.
Okay, all right. So as to the Avnerys, that's 24-190 that you've asked for an order against them. And I see that this court has issued an order as recently as May 13th against the Avnerys, protecting them against you. And here we are 3 weeks, not even 3 weeks after that, June 6th, you filed for an order against them.
Yes, this one I do have a lot more information on.
Well, first off, I
Sorry.
don't see that they were given any notice at today's hearing. How did you do that?
I do know for sure that they had got the paperwork yesterday when the sheriff went by and gave it to them because
Okay,
they were
what
home all day.
evidence, what I need is something from the sheriff that says in fact that they did that.
Okay,
I don't have that filed with the court.
Then I don't know, sir. Sorry, I'm very nervous. Let me say that, Your Honor. I know they got the notice on the door. I
Okay,
don't
well,
know.
I need something
anything
more
other-
than
That's all I
that.
have. That's all information. I didn't,
Okay,
I had the sheriff deliver them. I thought the sheriffs were delivering them. That was that, you know, and
Right.
I didn't know I had to do anything else other than, and just come to court. I'm just trying to get these letters to stop.
Okay.
I
Let me
have a
figure
daughter
out,
during
I
a
just see
month.
someone coming in his iPhone. Let me find out who that is. So someone on Zoom is coming in his iPhone. Who's that?
My name's Trace.
And you're here for a hearing?
Yes, ma'am. I think this is the right courtroom.
So what do you think you're here for?
I got a ticket for driving with suspended license.
Okay, you're in the wrong courtroom. And so you need to be either in courtroom, well, I don't know. Look at your notice and it'll tell you what courtroom you need to be in, but you're in the wrong place.
Um,
All right. Do you have a case number on there? Are you able to look at the case number?
Yeah.
What-
His name, I can look it up.
Yeah. You got a full name for me?
I'm Trace, Trace, Lynn, Lynn, Dorst, Dorst.
So Dorst is your last name, Dorst? Okay.
Yes.
And let's get it. All right, courtroom 2, that's where you
Two.
need to go to.
That's not the one I signed into? Sorry.
Nope, send into 3.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Thank you.
All right. So going back to you, Mr. Brown, in case number 24-190, your request against the Abneries for an order. So Mr. Brown, I'm going to dismiss this action. There's no order issued on your behalf to begin with. We simply set this for a hearing. But the court already issued an order protecting the Abneries against you.
Your Honor, if you,
Stop. I'm talking.
I'm sorry.
May 13th, and that's in effect until May 13th of 2025. And in your petition, there's nothing in there since that May 13th hearing other than name calling, which is not unlawful harassment. So
What about the
I
letters?
find that your filing for an order against the Abneries, frankly, is vindictive. And there is no basis. So I will not grant this
I haven't really
request.
told my side. I have the letters I
Because there
sent.
is no,
There is
There's
the
nothing
letters.
for
If
the
you look at
court
the
to
image
do,
right
and I
there,
find
if you
it's
look at the image
vindictive
right there, with the guy with his pants
filing
pulled down,
with
he
no
put a
further
letter in my
information.
mailbox saying, "Stay with me, your neighbors."
So, Mr.
With it, there
Brown,
is more than
I know you
proof.
disagree.
No, I
but
just want to speak my side. I haven't
We've
been able to
already
say my
had that
side.
hearing on the Avery matter on 190 back on May 13th, and within 3 weeks, you're filing for an order against them.
Because the letters they sent. Look
without
at the
any
letters.
information
If you,
that supports this.
I've
And the
been-
letters that's been sent is not sufficient information for unlawful harassment. Even if I were to believe that that's what this is, I find that your filing against them
I
is
just want these
vindictive.
letters.
So we'll
It's not
move back,
vindictive.
we'll move back to the case that you filed for an order against
Who
Mullenbry.
is still logged in? She has no reason to still be logged in.
Yes, she is. It's a public hearing. Anybody can watch,
She's
anybody
doing
can
this
be
so
in
she can
court.
do more things on the letters.
So,
I guarantee you
case
there's
number
things on the next
24,
letters can be
case number
involved in this hearing.
24-189, your
That's
request
denied.
against the Mullenbry, Ms. Loretta Mullenbry, not served. We're gonna strike the hearing. You can always refile if you feel the need, but you haven't shown any service of notice of this hearing. There hasn't been an order issue.
I haven't been able to say anything.
They're not
I've said two
here.
words
They're not here and you haven't shown
with any of these
service.
cases.
And
miss.
so
I haven't said nothing.
We're
I
striking
have,
this
I
hearing
have so much
and
information
dismissing
here.
this action.
I have information regarding to her and the person who stole my animals. I have
And
150
we've heard all of
pages.
that going back to May and
Your Honor,
April.
you did
So,
not hear any of this.
This court did and made
No,
decisions.
it did not.
I'm
take
not
my
arguing
court.
with
It
you
didn't
anymore,
take-
Mr. Brown.
I didn't present my
If
court
you
on the
feel the need
13th.
to file
I'm not
petitions, then
arguing.
you
I'm just
need to
telling you what
provide
happened.
evidence.
I never went to court on the 13th.
These are
They-
dismissed. The hearings are stricken. Cases are closed. Time to go. Time for you to go.
This isn't right.
Time for you to go.
I'm getting harassed by these
Follow the
people.
orders that have been issued against
Your
you.
Honor, I should be able to present my
Time for you
case.
to go.
I should be able to present my
Time
case.
for you
I
to
have
go,
not been able to
Mr.
present my
Brown.
case at
Go.
all, and this is not okay.
Leave the court.
Okay. I've been getting harassed. They've left
Leave
bullets
the
in my
court,
mailbox.
Mr. Brown.
They put
Leave the court
they sent
now.
a gun down to my house. and I don't
Leave
think
the
there's
court
any further-
now, Mr. Brown. I'm gonna tell security to make sure he leaves. You and I don't know. All right. Sorry. Difficult. All right, that leaves me with Miss Aleph, Charity Aleph. All right, finally, and Bridget Saxton, we're finally back with the two of you. Thanks for your patience. Just wanted to clear things out. All right, so we're finally taking up case 24-182, looking at Miss Aleph. I'll have you raise your right hand with me. Swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Saxton, raise your right hand with me. Ms. Saxton, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So let me just get, you'll see me looking down and over to my right, your left, it looks like, and that's the court file. It's electronic, and I've reviewed everything, but I want to look at things while you're talking, or if you direct me to certain things, and maybe I'll ask you to direct me to certain things. But let me get those files open electronically. So just give me a moment here. Right. I guess where did that go? Okay, so how this goes is I'll be turning first to the petitioner, the person who started this action, that's Ms. Aleph, and see if there's anything more other than what I've read in the petition that Ms. Aleph has filed and exhibits that she may have filed. And then I'll turn to Ms. Saxton, and I'll hear from Ms. Saxton, see if there's, in response to this request, that now there's a temporary restraining order against Ms. Saxton, and the question is, does that continue or not after today? First off, my first question, Ms. Aleph, are you asking the court to have an order after today?
Yes, ma'am, I am. So,
Okay, all right, Ms. Saxton, let me ask you, do you object to the court issuing this order after today?
yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, now we know where we are. So Ms. Aleph, you say this all happened at the White House Bar, White Horse Bar, and tell me anything other than what you wrote in your petition that I need to know.
Basically, ma'am, we don't know each other. We're not close together. We've run into each other at the bar twice, and I just want to be left alone. That's it.
All right, so you say last fall, which means fall of 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so
And
you're
that's
at
how you can see
the
the
White,
images.
I'm sorry, what?
That's where the images came from.
Okay, okay. So those go back to last fall, the email exhibits, or
Correct.
the pitch?
The images should be an image of my neck and my husband's neck.
Okay, that was from last fall. So tell me
That
what
was-
happened then.
That was from November. I had mistaken one of Bridget's friends for somebody that I knew. I approached them, touched her, she got offended, we got separated. When me and my husband went to leave.
Who did you touch? Did you touch Miss Saxton or someone else?
No, her name is Chloe. I also didn't know her. She looked similar to somebody I did know, and I thought it was somebody
Right.
else. When I
Okay.
left the bar, Bridget, Chloe, and another third person that I still don't know who it is, attacked me. We had let it leave. We were just going to let it blow over. And 3 weeks ago, I was walking through the bar and Bridget grabbed my arm and told me that she was the one that beat me up in the parking lot. And she didn't want me to forget it.
So that's how you knew that it was Miss Saxton.
I knew it was Miss Saxton back in November, but I didn't want to bring it any further. I just wanted it to go away.
Okay, all right. And so since last fall and June, so 6, 7, 8, 9 months, would that be fair to say? 9 months? Okay. So there hasn't been any, have you been at the White Horse Bar since that last fall event?
Me? Yes.
Other than June? Yeah.
Mhm.
How often?
About once a week.
Okay.
We're good friends.
And I'm sorry, what?
We're good friends with the owner of the bar.
Okay. And then in that 9 months or so, did you see Miss Saxton there other than in
I would have
June?
never been able to point her out in a crowd
Okay.
until she grabbed me.
All right. So in fall, you attribute the scratches to your neck and your husband's neck, but this is a petition by you, but you attribute the scratches to your neck to Miss Saxton. Can you describe that more particularly?
My husband stated when he came outside to follow me home that I was being held down by Bridget by my neck, and he had to push her off of me.
So you remember that?
I don't.
You don't remember that?
I
Okay,
do not
because I
remember that.
can't accept your husband's statements without him being available for the court or for Ms. Saxton to talk with.
I could
to
arrange
test his-
that too.
Yeah, well, today's the hearing date, and that's what this is about. So I expected that information be before the court today, and of course, Ms. Saxton have that opportunity today to deal with this. So, all right, you don't remember. So tell me a little bit more about last fall. So you didn't remember what happened, but you did end up with scratches on your neck. And
Correct.
you knew someone did that to you from the bar.
Correct.
But you only know that because your husband told you?
Because she also messaged one of my friends saying that it was her that did it.
Okay, and that was before the June information. That was sometime between last fall and
That
June.
was-
There was
Yep.
act.
Yeah.
Okay. So a third party tells you that they got a text message from Miss Saxton that says, yep, I did those scratches on Charity's neck.
Correct. Yeah.
And then any of that information in your exhibits?
No.
Okay. All right. So what more do you recall or know from the last fall event?
That's it, ma'am.
Okay. So, and then from last fall until like June, early June, you didn't have any contact personally from Miss Saxton. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. And then your petition says exactly that I'm just getting back to the statement that you're back at the White Horse on June 1st, and Bridget grabs you and says, don't forget, I'm the one that rocked you in the parking lot. And did you know, is this the person that is here appearing on Zoom? Is that the person that
Yes.
said that to you June 1st? Okay.
Yes.
And what does rocked you in the parking lot mean to you?
That means that she was admitting and not wanting me to forget that she's the one that attacked me in the parking lot.
Okay. All right.
I actually did call the police that night. I did make a police report over the phone.
All right. I remember that being, was that in your exhibit?
No.
So, yeah, mostly I've gotten exhibits from, looks like I have a few email exhibits from, and we'll talk about those when we talk with Ms. Saxton. So can you tell me anything more about the June 1st event? You were just at the bar, and what happened that
That
you
was
had
it. That was it. After that, I left the bar because I was no longer comfortable there.
So you were just sitting with friends or alone or what?
I was walking by myself back to the inside when she grabbed me.
All right. So you were walking.
After I pulled, I went and found one of my friends, Crystal, and she brought me across the street to get away.
Okay. So you were walking back into the bar from the parking lot.
Correct.
So this happened in the parking lot.
It happened in the smoker area out back. They had fans there that night that we were watching.
And how did Miss Saxton grab you?
She grabbed me by the arm, pulled me to her, and then reminded me that she was the one that beat me up.
Okay. All right. And so before last fall and before June 1st, sounds like you didn't know Miss Saxton.
Not at all.
All right. And no contact with her since between when you believe she attacked you and June 1st when she grabbed you by the arm again.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Do you have any idea what this is all? I mean, you say it's something about Chloe back in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have any do you have any recollection at all about what happened last fall, or it's all just from your husband telling you what happened?
I'm sorry, I don't have the recollection.
Okay. And is there anything in any of the exhibits or that would anything else you want to expound on or point me towards? Or
again, I'm only wanting to get this just so I can be left alone. I don't want any harm for Bridget. I don't want any harm for anybody in our family. I just want to be left alone. I want to feel comfortable in my hometown. And I'd prefer us just go our separate ways and it didn't have to come to this.
okay. And the White Horse Bar is in Rainier?
In Yelm.
In Yelm. Okay. And you're all right. And you're in Yelm.
Correct. We're both in Yelm.
Okay. And all right. So I'm going to turn to Miss Saxton, see what response to this order is. And Miss Saxton, what would you filed a few things, but what would you like to say in response and point me to what I should take from what you filed?
Well, I did not assault Charity, neither November 17th or June 1st. I arrived at the White Horse about 10:30 after a show in Tacoma with my...
So what day are we talking about?
November 17th. My niece, Tranquility, her partner, Allison, and Chloe and I had been at a show and dinner in Tacoma and arrived at the White Horse. They were taking me home to have a couple drinks, finish out the night. And as soon as we arrived, I hadn't even gotten out of my car yet. And Chloe was screaming at somebody I assumed was a man because she was telling him to stop. I don't know you. Don't touch me. Stop trying to kiss me. Get away from me. You don't get to just touch people like that. And I'm assuming it's a man. So I rushed around to see that it was Charity, and her husband was standing right there. He was now yelling at Chloe, telling Chloe that she shouldn't be yelling at his wife that way. Don't talk to my wife that way. And then I addressed Charity and said, "What? You don't get to touch people. We don't know you. That's not acceptable behavior. You cannot do that. We don't know you." She got in my face. She chest bumped me. She was spitting in my face when she asked me what I was going to do about it, old lady. And I pushed her out of my personal space. She was touching me when I pushed her off of me. No sooner did I push her off of me than her husband tackled me to the ground hard. I smacked my head on the concrete, bit my lip, bit my cheek, bit my tongue, busted my tooth. And I mean, this happened so fast. As soon as I was on the ground, my niece and Chloe and Allison, my niece's girlfriend, were trying to remove him off of me. And then Charity jumped on my niece's back and started pulling her hair. Tranquility's back started pulling her hair. So they moved them to move Charity off of them Orion had gotten off of me, so I was working my way to a standing position. The bouncer came outside, told them they needed to leave because they had been cut off. They had already been causing a problem and were cut off. They needed to leave and instructed us to go into the bar. And that's where we found out that they had been cut off and what their names were, and proceeded with the rest of our night and then went home. I never rocked Charity. Nobody rocked Charity. She was pushed off of me, and then she was pulled off of Tranquility. They were
So then,
100%
after this resolves, and given that the information you got from the bartender and so forth, that again, we don't have that person here to talk to. I'm not going to consider that statement that they were cut off or any of that information, but your recollections, your observations, I will consider. So, so then between November 17th and June 1st, any contact did you have with Charity?
I did not contact Charity and had no contact with Charity. However, the next day, in an effort to find out why they were looking for videos and accusing us of things, I contacted a young lady who calls me her aunt and is Charity's friend, because we are in a small town, and wanted to know what was going on and to inform her what the situation was. I probably have those text messages between me and this friend of Charity's.
Well, you can tell me what you said.
But I don't need to. I don't feel I need to. We figured it was a drunken episode and just we're going to let it go. We figured Charity and Orion were obliterated drunk, and we were just going to let the situation go. Whatever. They're gone. It's over. Finish out the night and go home. My son's girlfriend performs often. She's in a band. She's also a bartender at the White Horse. So my son is there. My family frequents this bar regularly together. And I'm also friends with the owner of the bar. Again, small town. So restricting me and my family from going to watch my son's girlfriend sing, which is something we do often, is where the only reason I'm even objecting to this. That, and I work with the general public and the vulnerable citizens of our community, and need to be able to access every building that they need to access, because I take them to their doctor's appointments, shopping, eye appointments, nail appointments, hair appointments, all of the things.
Let me ask you about June. So June 1st, we've got in the petition, as you read. Talk to me about what happened from your point of view, June 1st, if anything.
We arrived at the White Horse about 6 o'clock, and we're sitting in the beer garden. It's a really large beer garden. I would say 24 by 36 feet. It's a large beer garden for my son's girlfriend's performance that night. And Charity was sitting on the other side, so probably 18 feet away from us. There was no communication with us at all until Charity and her friend walked up to our table for no reason. We have no idea why they were, hours later decided they were going to approach our table. There was no need for that at all. It's a large area. She could have gone anywhere. She did not need to approach us. And I said, Charity, do you remember me? And she said, no, which I find false, because her friend Myra had walked up and said, are you Bridget? And shook my hand when I said yes. I don't remember what else she said, but she shook my hand when I told her yes, I was. And I said, Charity, do you remember me? And she said, no, I don't. And I said, I'm the old lady that your husband dropped in the parking lot. I never said I rocked her. That's not something that's in my vernacular. That just wouldn't come out of my mouth. It sounds strange to even say it to you. I did tell her that I'm the old lady that her husband dropped in the parking lot. I did not grab her. This was witnessed by multiple people that were sober at our table. And I feel like she's embarrassed by her behavior and trying to cover with this petition.
So that didn't happen. You agree that you were at the bar.
Oh yeah.
But after that,
and there was an interaction, but I never touched her.
Okay, all right. And since
most
June
I've ever
1st,
touched-
then you received notice of this hearing and that order and no contact since.
Yep.
All right. All right. Anything else, Ms. Saxton? Anything I should know?
No, other than the letters that you have in front of you from my friend who witnessed everything, a character witness who's the lead bartender of the White Horse, and her interactions with Charity, and my niece who was with me on November 17th.
Right. So I'm not going to consider those because
Okay.
they're not under oath. Those people aren't here for the court to question and to evaluate credibility. Ms. Aleph can't evaluate their credibility or question them. So I can't consider those because you probably heard the term hearsay. And
Oh, yes.
yeah, so I can't consider those, but I certainly can consider everything you've said. So I'm just going to Ms. Aleph, I'm just going to jump back here to wrap up here. Anything new or
I
something?
have since stopped going to the White Horse because I don't want to cause problems with them. I will stay away from there, Bridget. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I just think obviously we do have some animosity, and I think it would be helpful for us to have a tool to keep us apart.
All right. Well, I think the tool is simply your commitment not to contact each other, and I'm hearing that. So I don't see that there is unlawful harassment here. The last fall event, unfortunately, fairly and honestly, Ms. Aleph has said she doesn't recollect, doesn't have any personal information about that, is heard from others. And now I hear a much different rendition of the event. And then June 1st, again, you both agree you're at the bar, but a very different rendition of what happened there with a lack of really understanding who is affecting or doing things to you, Ms. Aleph. So I don't find that there's a substance of evidence, legal standard, that there's been any unlawful harassment committed by Ms. Saxton against you. So I'm denying and dismissing this order as it exists. It ends today. I'm denying any further order. Now, again, Ms. Aleph, you're right. The tool is the two of you just don't contact each other. That's the tool. And that's the end of the hearing. I'll sign an order. As I said, Ms. Saxton, then that order ends today. And I'll put that in the court file. So each of you can access the court file from your Zoom instructions if you want a copy of this order, or if you have difficulty there, you can certainly contact my clerks directly and they can assist you. But that's it for today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Saxton. Thanks, Ms. Aleph. You can both be on your way.